Good afternoon and good morning to those of you on the West Coast. If you have trouble hearing me or the audio or screen quality, please let us know in the chat box. Today, we have a brief overview of the April refresh on the MAS Schedule 81IB to support container management. Next slide, please. Thank you for joining us today. Our topics and agenda include our introductions and welcome, the scope and disclaimer, which is our fine print, the NEX and SIN overview, our container highlights, changes to the solicitations, question and answer form, and then reminders and wrap up. Next slide. My name is Nelson Duncan. I'm a business development specialist from the business development team at the CASE division, which is the Customer and Stakeholder Engagement division. We're joined today by our CASE Business Development Chief, Jennifer Jackson, Henry Pierre Lewis, our MAS Division Chief, who will tell us about our MAS 81 IB contracting refresh. We also have Nelson Jaquez, Section Chief and Contracting Officer from our FAST acquisition, Bob Woodside, who is our MAS Deputy Director for the Acquisition Center, and of course our attendees and virtual audience, including our ACOs, which are our Administrative Contracting Officers. The little disclaimer here, of course, the fine print, which everyone needs to know about. The purpose of our webinar is to basically verbally present our refresh and the related MAS mod as a courtesy to let you know of the forthcoming changes which will be reflected in the system. All comments or information presented must be submitted via chat on the call. We'll consider all relevant comments and document them, but we're not obligated to respond to any of the questions at this time. We may address some of the comments during the call or provide responses. And again, if we can't answer it immediately, we'll get back to you. Again, any interested parties should review the final version of the solicitation refresh or the MAS mod for any additional changes. The scope of this webinar is for 81IB. So we will not be talking about the MAS consolidation of schedules at this time, which is planned for early FY 2020. We will provide an update on one of the slides in a few minutes. Industry may request a copy of the attendees, and you may use this as a subcontracting or benchmarking practices. The event is being recorded, so we asked that if you do not consent to being recorded, please disconnect now, or if you have a login name which you do not wish your company name as part of that login, to disconnect, re-log in with a name that is non-company specific at this time. Next slide. The next code, North American Industry Classification Standard Code. This is the code that's used by federal agencies to classify the establishments of categorizing and classifying the data. So under 81IB, this schedule, the FSC code is 322, which is paper manufacturing. The primary SIN is 322211, which is corrugated and fiber box manufacturing. Next slide, please. There are secondary references. Again, the next code, these next three secondary references are for paperboard boxes, manufacturing folding paperboard boxes, and manufacturing paperboard into boxes. Again, primarily paper fabrication. So the purpose of this refresh was to add a secondary NEX code, which is not paper focused. Next slide, please. Special item numbers, commonly known as SINs. These are some of the SINs which are covered currently under 81IB. There are currently 11 SIN categories, everything from bags, tags, sacks, again, packaging supplies, hazardous materials, shipping, and drums, but of course, last but not least, container services. So of these 11 SIN categories, it covers a wide breadth and variety of items. Currently, SIN 6172, which is again listed as bottles, boxes, and containers, covers the gamut of bottles, jar tops, sample specimen shipping containers, storage containers, visual shock indicators, spray can attachments, bottle stop sets, and again, cargo containers. So again, you can see there's quite a wide variety under SIN 617-2. Next slide, please. Under 61711, currently was on maintenance, repair, and modification of containers. So again, 61711 is currently underutilized. The existing vendor pool under this SIN, we have 2 vendors. They offer graffiti removal and warranties. So the refresh will revamp this particular SIN. And again, the picture below shows some of the type items which were the initial intent of 61711. The new SIN under the refresh aligns this SIN to its initial intent, which will streamline this. And again, from even the title change of the maintenance and modification of containers is now the new name of the title shipping, cargo, freight, and storage containers, ISO and non-ISO containers, container systems, metal drums, maintenance and repair and modification of container solutions. So we have expanded the definition of 61711 to include and encapsulate the container and shipping cargo containers and the services. Next slide, please. Some of the additional actions which are implemented by the April refresh, we're providing a secondary NEXT code. And this new NEXT code is 332439. This is other metal container manufacturing. This is more in alignment to what the container classification is versus the 332, which is the paperboard manufacturing. Again, we're revising the SINs, providing clear definitions. We're expanding the scope to include specifically bicons, tricons, quadcons, addition of cubes, collapsible container systems, and again, we're incorporating the collapsible temporary commercial products and also increasing our solutions and service opportunities. Next slide. You may want to know why and how we came up with this NEXT code decision. If you look at this pie chart, it's easy to see that 2/3 of the reported open market shipping container procurements, and this was based on 2017 data, the majority, over 2/3, used 332439, which is the other metal container manufacturing for procurements. Now you'll also see the various Asians from that chart above, and we also used the FSC code and the PSC code, Federal Supply Class, Product Supply Class, code of 8150 for the procurements. This is important for both the customers and the vendors to know when these type of acquisitions occur, because they should be reporting under the specific NEXT codes and planning those for the acquisition purposes, as well as reporting the financial data on that. Additional refresh details are forthcoming. Usually they arrive 24 to 48 hours before the actual changes are put into the contracting system. Henry or Nelson at this time, if there's any additional details that have been brought to light on the refresh for 81IB, you can certainly chime in now.
Okay, no problem. This is Henry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. We're gonna be doing the refresh this week, so definitely keep an eye out for it. It'll be here before this Friday.
Great. So you'll be also notified via email as well as by your point of contacts from gsa.gov. So please, vendors, if you're online, take this opportunity to make sure your profile information is current in sam.gov as well as your contractual information. Frequently, there are changes in personnel, and that information is sometimes not updated. A quick update on the mass consolidation. A mass consolidation FAQ, frequently asked questions, has been posted on gsa.gov, and there is a specific project management office email if you have questions about the mass consolidation. That's maspmo@gsa.gov. Next slide, please. And we're ready for the question and answers. Please identify your name, company, and question in the chat box. Again, if it's contract specific, you may wish to confer directly with your contracting officer or contract specialist. If questions require further research, we may table your inquiry and respond at a later date. And again, the question and answers of this webinar will be posted on Interact. And according to our records, we have approximately 16, now 15 for some reason. One of the ACOs dropped off. She may be joining us back in.
So also we have Robert Anderson from our office on the phone as well. So anyone who wants to ask a question, they can either verbally ask a question, or if they want to type it into the chat box, then Robert Anderson will read the question out to us. So either you can verbally ask the question, or rather type in the chat box, type in the chat box.
Great, thanks, Bob.
Do we have any questions?
Are there no questions? Don't be shy. This is your time to ask.
Nelson, we don't have any questions in the chat box.
Okay. Next slide, please. This is our wrap up, some actions to take. And again, if you're an existing 81IB contract holder and vendor, you're going to need to read and accept the mass mod. If you need a PIN to activate to accept that mass mod, you'll need to contact your ACO, which is your Administrative Contracting Officer. For general contract questions, contact your CO or contract specialist. Check your NEXT code and your SIN registry in the ORCA via sam.gov. And again, because this refresh will add this new NEXT code, if you want to place a bid or quote for something under this new NEXT code, you need to start at the source at sam.gov and make sure you add that NEXT code under your representation of business size, that you can include that NEXT code. If your SIN is 61711 and it's not currently on contract, you would also need to contact your contracting officer or specialist and have them add that particular SIN to your offering under your contract. Now, if you're new to GSA and want to get on contract under 81IB, next slide. This is where you would go, which is fedbizops.gov, to pull up the mass schedule for the 81IB basics. And again, for those of you who have a contract and want to know more about the basics of it, this is the solicitation number. And again, for the new vendors, there are 12 attachments, including the solicitation. Always read your README first documents. There is a critical notes document, which is attachment 12. There are certain mandatory provisions and clauses for TAA, which is Trade Agreements Act, Ability 1. Again, you're going to need to identify your SIN categories. There are still 11 under 81IB. Government terms are 30 days after receipt of order, and we understand with the large containers, there may be up to a 6-month delivery time. And again, you need to address that and explain that in your offer. There are also freight terms, whether you deliver CONUS within the US or outside the continental United States. 81IB is also one of the few schedules which allows for FOB origin or FOB destination. The government preference is still FOB destination, which means that you as the vendor include the shipping charges. Next slide, please. So we feel that there's untapped potential under MAS 81IB, and again, we have a long-term contractual solution for specialized commercial containers. There is ample room for related commercial equipment and services such as racks, shelving, configuration kits, packaging, storage supplies, and shipment. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Again, if there are no further questions, we want to thank you for your attendance and participation. We'll send email reminders on our open fbo.gov listings. And let me know if you received any orders of these as a result. If you found the presentation helpful, please drop me an email at nelson.duncan@gsa.gov. We look forward to the April refresh and hope it will bring you continued success. Thank you, everyone.
So I guess we could try one more time. Are there any questions now that the presentation is completely finished? Again, you could type in the chat box, or you could say verbally.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, ACOs.
Okay. Thank you, Nelson.
Thanks, Nelson. Thanks, Henry.
You're welcome.
Rob.
Thanks a lot.
Bob. Oh, Sherry King wants to join. And thank you, everyone.
Hey, thank you, Nelson. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Sherry, good afternoon. We just ended the session. You can find